Hello, everyone. This is Justin Smythe from NextBigTrade.com. This is your weekly sector review for December 22nd, 2023. Starting out with BOTS, the artificial intelligence ETF. BOTS underperformed the S&P 500 this week, and more importantly, as I discussed in the newsletter, individual artificial intelligence stocks are starting to not act well and follow through to the upside. There was a couple stocks, AI and SMCI, that were attempting to break out last week, and they actually started to break down this week and not follow through. On top of that, PLTR, the initial leader in this sector coming out of the correction lows, continues to struggle. Nvidia is having trouble breaking out. And there's really just a small handful of stocks that are consolidating nicely and acting right, but there's a whole bunch of others that are starting to, not act as well right now. So, not constructive to see one of the leading sectors start to falter here. Again, that's what tends to happen when a stock market rally starts to get into trouble, is when some of the leaders start to pull back and succumb to selling pressure. So we'll see what happens with that, but that's a warning sign in this current market. The one sector that continues to do extremely well is the cryptocurrency stocks. Massive volume again this past week, and one of the things I talked about in the newsletter is now pretty much all the laggards have broken out in this sector, and typically when you get to the point where even the big, like the worst stocks in the sector start moving higher, that's when you're getting much later in the sector move, and then typically it needs to have at least a pullback after that. So crypto could have a blow off top here, but besides that, we're getting fairly late in this move as well, given the fact that the laggards are rallying so aggressively now. So that's something to be mindful of as well, is that the leaders are very stretched and the laggards are finally moving. Turning to the US dollar, what I've been discussing in the newsletter last week and this week is that I think the US dollar is going to be pivotal heading into 2024. You can see the US dollar continue to break down this week, and if it moves into stage 4, that's going to be bullish for precious metals, foreign stocks, and cryptocurrency, which we've already seen rallying strongly during this recent rally. So the U.S. dollar is a pivotal market heading into 2024. However, on the daily chart, let me turn this into the daily chart real quick here. The U.S. dollar probably has potential to move back and retest this gap area over the short term. This could be a failed breakdown here, and this would go kind of hand in hand with the market pulling back as well. The U.S. dollar's had a major move lower over the past 2 months now, but markets typically don't, move in one direction for too long without having a counter trend rally. So if the U.S. dollar does have a rally back to some of these key moving averages, I think that would put pressure on the overall market as well. And we kind of saw that bleeding into the precious metals this week. Even though they were up this week, they couldn't follow through and break out. Volume was actually lower in the metals. Silver was up over 1% on Friday and then closed down 1% by the end of the day. Again, that's kind of a warning sign. We're getting to a breakout zone and then it can't follow through. The mining stocks, though, are continuing to act pretty well. They are taking some pretty good volume. You've got a cluster of volume on the right-hand side. This is something that we haven't seen for a while here, and that's really been a missing ingredient. If you look at the silver ETF, the silver miners ETF, it shows up even more. This is the heaviest volume we've seen in about 2 years in this market, and the mining stocks are starting to outperform the metals as well. That's a key component of a precious metals rally, is when the miners outperform the metals. So things are falling into place for the precious metals. We do need to see more volume, though, overall in this sector still, especially in the individual stocks. But if the U.S. dollar does have a short-term rally, the market pulls back. I think the metals might be on pause until the U.S. dollar is ready to resume lower. And then finally, for bonds, this oversold bond rally that erupted on massive volume is really why this stock market rally erupted as well. So coming out of the late October lows, bonds are, basically collapsing on massive volume, basically capitulation here, and then all of a sudden buying pressure just overwhelms selling pressure. We get a massive rally and we move back up to resistance. Now we're in this resistance zone. It's much more likely the market needs to take a breath here and has much more trouble moving higher, at least for the short term. That could also put pressure on the stock market. Again, after a furious rally driven by easing in interest rates, if that takes a pause here, that might be, the pressure the stock market needs to kind of have its first pullback here. And you can see the volume on TLT. This is the first time we've seen heavy volume on a down week since this massive rally erupted back in late October. IEF, this one was up, but you can see the volume was lighter as well heading into the Christmas holiday. And we've gotten back, way above the 30-week moving average here. So typically we're going to need to have a pullback before we do maybe follow through to the upside here. So overall, again, sectors are, I think, showing us that, with the artificial intelligence not acting right, with Bitcoin related stocks kind of blowing off to the upside, the US dollar might be ready to have a little bit of a rally back higher, and bonds are heading into resistance. There's all these things that are kind of confluencing together to signal that the market might be more vulnerable to a pullback here. And then precious metals are in a great position right now, so we just need to see maybe process one more pullback, and they might be in position to make a major advance as we start 2024.